Have you noticed that the world works in reverse? When you stop needing, you attract everything. When you learn to be alone, more people want to be with you. When you stop caring about others' opinions, they admire you. When you stop searching, you find. Modern society has taught us that in order to achieve something, we must put in excessive effort. However, this idea is counterproductive, because the more we try to force something, the harder it becomes to obtain. True creativity, happiness, and flow in life emerge when we stop trying so hard and learn to play. In this video, you'll learn how to flow better with life so you can attract the results you desire in a more spontaneous and less stressful way. People who are not obsessed with success tend to act more naturally and let success come as a byproduct. When we eliminate anxiety about the outcome, we allow ourselves to enjoy the process. Creativity, intuition, and confidence emerge when we are not trapped in a constant state of tension. A great example is comedians. Those who try too hard to be funny often seem forced and unnatural. In contrast, the most successful ones have a natural flow on stage. They trust their ability and allow humor to emerge organically and effortlessly. The same happens in other areas of life. A student who obsesses over getting a perfect grade may freeze up and forget answers they would normally recall with ease. An athlete who pressures themselves too much before a competition may tense their muscles and lose precision in their movements. On the other hand, those who take a more relaxed approach, trusting their preparation and flowing with the moment, often achieve better results. Imagine someone tells you, "Relax." The moment you hear it, you feel extra pressure. Now, on top of everything else in your mind, you also have to relax. And the more you try, the tenser you become. It's a curious paradox. Some things in life only happen when you stop trying to force them. Alan Watts called this the law of reversed effort. The irony that the harder you try at something, the less likely you are to succeed. And if there's one thing modern society has completely forgotten, it's precisely this. From childhood, we are taught to take life seriously. You must study to have a good future. You must work hard to be someone. You must be responsible and avoid wasting time on meaningless things. We are told repeatedly that effort is the key to success, that discipline is everything, that we must follow rules, and that play is for the immature. We grow up believing that life is a ladder, and each step we climb brings us closer to the ultimate prize: security, recognition, success. But no one tells us that along the way, we might lose something essential: the ability to play. Play is pure spontaneity. It is doing something without expecting a result, simply because it feels right. Children understand this perfectly. They invent stories, run, dance for no reason, and laugh without worrying if their laughter is too loud. But as we grow up, we are taught that everything must have a purpose, that spontaneity is childish, and that a serious life is the only real life. And this is where the problem begins. The moment we stop playing, we stop flowing. We become obsessed with efficiency, productivity, and image, trapped in anxiety because suddenly everything becomes a competition, even our own well-being. The lack of play makes us rigid, fearful of uncertainty. It makes us seek structure where we don't need it, convinced that only through meticulous plans can we avoid chaos. But life has never worked that way. Creativity, joy, and genuine connection with others arise in the space where we don't control every detail. The most authentic art, the deepest relationships, and the most memorable moments happen when we allow ourselves to be, without the pressure of perfection. It is in spontaneity that magic happens, and when we stop playing, we lose access to that spark that makes us feel alive. Now, think about this. If you try too hard to be spontaneous, you will never achieve it. If you force yourself to have fun, fun becomes just another task on your to-do list. If you try too hard to act naturally around someone, you will end up seeming artificial. The key is to let go, to stop trying so hard. Watts explained this with a simple example. When you hold water in your hand and squeeze it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you simply let it rest in your palm, it stays there. Life works the same way. This happens because true spontaneity is not the result of conscious effort, but of a state of trust and relaxation. When you trust that the present moment is enough, when you let go of the need to control everything, things start to flow effortlessly. Creativity, connection with others, and even happiness emerge in that space of ease, where there is no obsession with results. It's the difference between dancing while worrying about every step and simply letting the music move you. One creates tension, the other creates freedom. And in that freedom, paradoxically, is where we find our true authenticity. Modern society has made us believe that spontaneity is dangerous, that we must plan, measure, and control everything to avoid mistakes. But what happens when we apply this logic to things like creativity, love, or happiness? You can't force someone to be creative at a specific time, you can't schedule when you'll feel love for someone, and you can't make happiness happen as if it were just another task. The irony is that when you stop chasing these things and simply allow yourself to be present, that's when they appear. It's like the sky reflected in a lake. If the water is disturbed, the image is distorted, but if it's still, the reflection appears clearly. Spontaneity is that clear reflection that arises when we stop stirring the waters with our obsession for control. When we understand that life is not a problem to be solved but a mystery to be experienced, we begin to realize that we don't need so much rigidity to live fully. In reality, what we fear most is not the lack of control but the possibility that, by letting go, we might discover we never had it in the first place. Think of it in simple terms. Imagine someone trying to be liked by everyone. They try too hard to say the right things, act the right way, and avoid mistakes. The result? They come across as forced, awkward, like they're playing a role. But when they stop trying so hard and simply allow themselves to be who they are, their natural charisma emerges. The same is true for everything in life. If you obsess over being happy, you'll never achieve it because you'll constantly be evaluating whether you are or not. If you force yourself to relax, you'll end up more stressed than before. The solution isn't to try harder, but to try less. The irony is that the more we try to control our image, the more artificial we become. The people who truly inspire and connect with others aren't those who have everything calculated, but those who allow themselves to be spontaneous, flaws and all. Authenticity isn't something that can be carefully crafted. It's something that emerges when we stop worrying about how others perceive us. By letting go of that constant need for approval, we don't just become more natural. We paradoxically become more attractive and charismatic as well. What's proposed something radical: reclaim play. Not as a distraction, but as a way of living. Playing doesn't mean being irresponsible or abandoning the world. It means approaching life with the same attitude as a child inventing a story with their toys. It means stopping the habit of measuring everything in terms of usefulness and learning to enjoy things without worrying about the outcome. When was the last time you did something just for the sake of it, without thinking about whether it was productive or useful? The problem is that most people fear losing control. We've been taught that if we aren't constantly vigilant, everything will fall apart. But what if control is just an illusion? What if, instead of clinging so tightly, we learned to flow with the current? In nature, rivers don't worry about the path they take, they just move forward. Trees don't struggle to grow, they do so naturally. Existence isn't obsessed with efficiency, it simply is. And yet, humans live as if life were an endless to-do list, as if there were always something else to accomplish before we could finally relax. We've been sold the idea that rest must be earned, that only after reaching certain milestones can we allow ourselves to breathe. But this mindset traps us in an endless cycle of effort, where peace is always one step ahead but never in the present. In our obsession with controlling every aspect of existence, we move further away from the possibility of simply living. That's why what's emphasized the importance of spontaneity. It's not about becoming irresponsible or ignoring obligations, but about learning to move with life instead of fighting against it. Making room for improvisation, for wonder, for the unexpected. Stopping the habit of seeing life as a to-do list and starting to experience it for what it truly is. A game that never had strict rules in the first place. If you're still not convinced, try something simple. The next time you feel like you're forcing something too much, stop. Notice how you feel when you stop pressuring yourself. Maybe you'll discover that the solution isn't to push harder, but to let go a little. Maybe you'll realize that things flow better when you allow them to be. And perhaps, just perhaps, You'll remember what it was like to play without worrying about anything but the present moment. After all, life isn't a ladder to climb but a river to learn how to swim in. Spontaneity is a quality that allows us to live with more lightness, creativity, and enjoyment. However, in a society obsessed with productivity and control, we often lose this natural ability. Below, we present 6 practical tips to help you regain your spontaneity and attract the results you desire more effortlessly. The first tip is, stop trying too hard. The paradox of the law of reversed effort states that the more we force something to happen, the more it eludes us. This applies to everything, from trying to sleep when you have insomnia to wanting to impress someone in a conversation. Instead of obsessing over making something happen, relax and trust that it will occur when you stop pushing. A clear example is when you try to remember the name of a movie. If you strain to find it in your mind, it won't come, but as soon as you let go of the thought, minutes later, the name suddenly appears. The same happens with charisma. When you try too hard to seem interesting or attractive, you often end up coming across as forced. But when you simply enjoy the moment without worrying about how you look or what impression you're making, you naturally become more charming and genuine. Second, bring more play into your life. Spontaneity and fun are deeply connected. Children don't need a reason to run, make up stories, or laugh at silly things. They don't worry about whether their behavior is mature or productive. They simply go with the experience. To regain that lightness, seek activities that don't have a specific goal. You can paint without worrying about the result, dance without caring how you look, or simply play with ideas in a conversation without trying to sound smart. By letting go of the need for utility in everything you do, you reclaim the joy of being present. Moreover, play is not just a tool for enjoyment. It's also a powerful source of creativity and innovation. Many of the best ideas arise when we allow ourselves to explore without expectations or pressure. So next time you feel stuck in routine, ask yourself, how can I turn this into a game? That mindset will transform the way you experience daily life. The third tip is, learn to trust the present moment. We often try to anticipate every possible outcome, planning every detail to minimize risks. But life doesn't work like a predictable equation. It flows more like a river. If you try to force the flow, you'll only create resistance. Think about the best conversations you've ever had. They probably weren't the ones where you planned every word, but the ones where you simply let yourself go. The same applies to any situation. If you focus on being present instead of trying to control the outcome, things will unfold more naturally. This also applies to moments of uncertainty in life. When we cling to the need for absolute security, we end up trapped in anxiety. However, when we embrace uncertainty as part of the journey, we often discover that the best opportunities and experiences arise from the unexpected. Learning to trust the process and let go of the fear of the future allows us to live with more peace and authenticity. Fourth, laugh at yourself. Taking yourself too seriously is a huge obstacle to spontaneity. The most charismatic and attractive people are not those who never make mistakes, but those who laugh at them without shame. If you trip in public, forget what you were going to say in the middle of a presentation, or say something absurd in a conversation, instead of beating yourself up, just laugh. That ability to let go of the need for perfection will make you feel freer and more relaxed, and interestingly, it will also make you appear more genuine to others. No one wants to be around someone who lives in fear of making mistakes. Moreover, when you learn to laugh at your own blunders, you reduce the stress and anxiety that often come with the fear of being judged. For example, great comedians are not those who never fail, but those who turn their failures into funny moments. Laughter takes the drama out of situations, helps you go with the flow, and transforms any awkward moment into an opportunity for connection. Fifth, let go of the need for approval. The pressure to please everyone kills spontaneity because it makes you act according to what you think others expect, rather than simply being yourself. You can see this clearly on social media, where many people edit their personalities to fit a perfect image. But the most genuine connections don't come from a carefully curated persona. They come from authenticity. When you give yourself permission to be who you truly are, without fear of what others may think, you naturally become more magnetic. Ironically, It's when you stop trying so hard to be liked that you start attracting those who genuinely connect with you. Additionally, when you let go of the need for external validation, you reclaim a sense of inner freedom. You stop measuring your worth based on others' approval and start enjoying life on your own terms. A great example of this is art. The most influential artists were not those who tried to please everyone, but those who fearlessly expressed their vision. The same applies to everyday life. When you are true to yourself, you inspire others to do the same. Finally, cultivate trust in uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and trying to control it only creates anxiety. Instead, if you learn to enjoy uncertainty as part of the game, you will feel lighter and freer. Think of an interesting conversation. What makes it exciting is precisely the fact that you don't know what the other person will say. Similarly, if you embrace the unknown in your daily life, you'll be surprised by how many good things come your way without you having to force them. Spontaneity flourishes when you stop trying to manage every detail and simply allow yourself to live in the moment. Moreover, many of the best opportunities arise when we are open to the unexpected. Great innovations, discoveries, and relationships have emerged from moments of uncertainty where someone chose to flow rather than resist. If you look at people who seem lucky in life, you'll notice it's not because they have everything planned out, but because they know how to make the most of what comes their way. So instead of seeing uncertainty as a problem, view it as a field of infinite possibilities and dive into the adventure with curiosity and confidence. The law of reversed effort teaches us that letting go does not mean giving up, but rather allowing life to flow with greater harmony. Often, we try to control every detail of our existence, creating more tension and anxiety than necessary. But remember, when we learn to trust the process and stop clinging to a single outcome, we discover that life offers us unexpected solutions and paths we never could have imagined. Integrating these strategies into our daily routine not only reduces stress but also opens us up to new possibilities and unforeseen results. We become more adaptable, more open to change, and more receptive to opportunities that arise spontaneously. Each of these principles can be applied to different areas of life, from work and studies to personal relationships. Instead of forcing things to happen exactly as we planned, we can allow ourselves to flow with events and trust that what comes to us is exactly what we need at that moment. At the end of the day, embracing this philosophy is a way to find success and fulfillment in the present, without the unnecessary burden of constant worry about the future.